Welcome to the VA Today pod and videocast with your host, Gail Alexander, a podcast about VAs, for VAs, and businesses looking for the right VA to help to start grow their business. Find the right VA today and visit VA Today on YouTube and ava-ni.com to find out more about VAs and what they can do for you, and get in touch with the virtual assistants you need today. Hi everyone, it's Gail here from the VA Today, and today I'm talking with Donna Funk from Beyond Office Walls. Beyond Office Walls. Okay, there's my first fluff up of the interview. And Donna joins me from Pittsburgh in the States, and so I am very thankful that she doesn't mind the time difference talking to me. It's her morning, my afternoon. So welcome along, Donna, and I'm really thankful and really happy that you've joined us today.
Thank you so much, Gail. This is exciting. I feel privileged to be a part of it and honored. So thank you very much. I'm grateful.
You're very welcome. So just before the interview, Donna and I were just talking about being a VA and how we came about to be a VA. And so I just wanted to ask, so you can tell our viewers, how did you, in a roundabout way, how did you become a VA, and how did you even hear about a VA and what a virtual assistant does?
I was actually surfing on the internet. I was going through a really difficult divorce, as most divorces are. I mean, none of us want to do this. I don't know if there's an easy one. And I was a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids, and all of a sudden I'm going through this divorce and custody battle, and I took the first job I could get, which was working at a fast food restaurant, and it was really hard work, but it got me some money in quick, and so I was surfing on the internet for something else to do, and with my professional background, this thing came up about virtual assistants, and I was like, what is this, and as I read about it more and more, I kept realizing, like, this is something I can do. I had experience working with churches and doing bulletins and working PowerPoint presentations and organizing, team and project management and stuff. And so I was like, you know what, it kind of felt like everything I had done in my life kind of filtered into the role of a virtual assistant. And so I went with a third-party company, and I worked for them for, quite a while, and was able to start learning how to do websites and everything. And the third-party company got my feet wet, and then I went off. I was still a contractor with them, a 1099 here in the United States. But that's how it all got started.
Okay, so that's quite interesting. You started through a company yourself. You didn't actually make that leap to being a VA on your own. So that's a nice way to do it. I think there's a lot of people in the UK and sort of Europe that have done that. They've been able to be a virtual assistant as opposed to a temporary worker for a larger company. And at the same time, that allows you to maybe learn more skills on the job. That's a really good way of doing it. And it's an option for maybe new virtual assistants to start. But like myself, if you don't have the option, just jumping straight in, it's not too bad. Well, no, it's not bad at all. It's just finding the right people to maybe connect with and giving you that support and advice. And it's as you say, it's a great way of maybe taking the skills that you've had, and you've obviously had many years of experience with different work. And you don't want to lose that experience and have to start again. Virtual assistant is a great way to bring all that together, even learn new tools, and then do a variety of project work to keep your working day slightly more interesting. So, well, that's the hope anyway. So how long have you been running Beyond Office Walls?
Since 2011. So it's been almost 7 years,
So
which
it's
is
going well then.
pretty exciting. Yeah, I mean, it's had its ups and downs, and there were times where you're like, I think I'm just going to shut the door, but kept on going through those valleys and made it so far.
No, 7 years, that's really, really good history. And do you find that the VA sort of community is really supporting and really helpful to bring you
Yeah.
along those slumps and, troughs and valleys?
Yeah, just recently I connected with some VA groups that are in Facebook. And I mean, one of the groups has like 30,000 members.
Wow.
And so some of the things that they post during the day, there's a lot of newbies in there, that are starting out. But there's also some really nice seasoned veterans in there that are jumping in and helping. And, everybody's like, even when it comes to pricing, which is funny because, you had mentioned in our introductory meeting about not so much the competitiveness, but the collaboration of each other. And what I got to thinking that night, like this Facebook group is like that. If somebody jumps in and says, hey, I've got this project my client wants me to do, what would you price for it? Like people are coming back with very honest answers.
Yeah.
And not, and so it's nice to have that. I haven't seen it. I haven't tried to play with other areas like LinkedIn, to see what that virtual assistant community is like as much because it's more posting articles. But this has a lot of conversation back and forth in the Facebook community.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge help lately.
Yeah. That's kind of how I came across a lot. There's quite a few Facebook community groups for VAs here in the UK.
Nice.
Joined a good few of them. So Society of Virtual Assistants, it's Be My VA, the VIP VA, and lots of other individuals as well, Amanda Johnson, in fact, and etc. And it is, as you say, it's so supportive and people will give you advice. So for, again, the newbies, they can put a question out there, and pricing is a really difficult one to do, especially as so many different areas that VAs may be working. But they are so helpful and give you great ideas on how you would structure your pricing. And again, even for more experienced people, it maybe gives them an insight to, okay, so I could maybe market myself more to this niche. I have more experience, or they could broaden their horizons. So, as you say, I think it's so vital, and it's great for being in the virtual world to have some colleagues.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe if you work from home like I do and you do, that having someone to talk to maybe in a wee while is actually quite cathartic. You don't go.
Yep, it is.
So, when you started being a VA, did you go part-time or full-time?
I actually went full-time. I had to take the leap. Fast food work is hard.
Yes.
And, at the time I was 40, 41, and I wasn't in the greatest shape. And but I made it work, and it was a wonderful opportunity to, like I said, to generate some money and get my own place and get up and functioning on my own feet. But I was anxious to get back out into the professional world and do something that was going to be more my background. I've been working since I was 15. It was just hard to, like all of a sudden, like, not have a career or something.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you've gone through quite a lot. So that shows a lot of strength and courage and resilience. So
thanks. I don't know about that.
definitely. As you say, entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and mompreneurs, as we call ourselves, really up and down journey. So yeah, kudos to you for sticking at it, and I'm really impressed. Thanks. I hope I last as long. Don't go completely insane.
Call me. We'll chat. I'll get you through it.
Okay, will do. So when I was looking up your background for the interview, obviously came across all your different experience, and it's quite a variety. So do you think that lifelong learning and just learning different things is a vital skill for being a VA, or just, for your own mental well-being, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I was privileged enough, and I didn't plan it this way. It just kind of worked out this way, that each of my um, job opportunities, or steps in the employment world, ended up building on each other. And so when I worked with the church as a bookkeeping assistant, and then I moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I worked in collections and management. That knowledge went with me. And then I came back to Pittsburgh and went to work for my brother's mortgage brokerage. And so then that information, what I learned at the collections company, helped people, refinance their homes and get their credit in line and everything. And then when I went to become a paralegal, we were working at the time with a client called Household Beneficial that is now out of business here in the United States, but they were a collections company. And so my work ended up kind of, being associated with one another, even though it's kind of varied. And basically, all of it came to be wrapped up as a virtual assistant in the fact that I was, you really need people skills, and my people skills through my divorce kind of drifted because I had post-traumatic stress disorder. So I had a lot of anxiety problems throughout it, and a couple bouts of depression. And so that kind of played into some difficulty. But overall, I always was able to bounce back with the fact that I really like helping people. And that became just, I decided that was going to be my number one focus, was that, I'm here to help. And I realized through it all too, that I don't like being the number one boss. I don't like, the buck stops here kind of responsibility. I like being the assistant. I like being the undercurrent in the support system, the cheerleader, the encourager, the dot the I's, cross the T's, and let them focus on their business. And I think that that's one thing that's really important as a VA, is that we realize that we are assistants. I've had some VAs that I've connected with in the past that feel like, my client would die without me. And there was kind of a bolder sense of like, well, I tell my client what to do or how to do it. And that's really not where we want to come from. We really want to come from, the point, like, there's programs and stuff that I've had to learn because that's what my client uses and that's what's best for them. And so I have to be very flexible. And so in the people skills and listening, and, I hate to say the word obey, but do what you're told. So
it makes life maybe a wee bit easier when you go, here's a task, go and do it. It's like, okay,
thank you, okay, I got this. But when I've had people micromanage me, and that's been very difficult, and then I've had people that will do that. Here's the task. So you have to you have to be so flexible in this industry, and not take things personally. That's a big part.
I think that is the word, flexible is definitely, because it's flexibility on the contractor's part or the VA part, and it's flexibility in the business part, because they don't necessarily know what they need and for how long. But that's the whole beauty of the VA, the virtual assistant world. Companies may not have the budget or the time or the resources to have a full-time staff, but yet they need somebody with that experience, be it bookkeeping, be it marketing, be it legal or whatever. Somebody coming in to do 4 hours a week or a small project for a month is just perfect. And it means they don't have to look after all what comes around that, benefits and hiring and training. You're already hiring somebody that's trained, and they have their own setup. They come in for as and when they need. So it's just a beautiful ecosystem of
Yeah.
business, I think. So flexibility, I think, is the perfect word for that.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about having to learn, did you have to learn any specific, or take it you obviously knew a lot of the sort of tools and programs that you wanted to, but did you take any specific VA training when you started out?
I didn't take any specific, when I worked for the third party, because we were all private contractors, we really had to train ourselves. And so I kind of was like thrown in, like I had known Microsoft Office products, including Publisher and Excel and everything, for 20 years. Like, so at least I had that. And so, even though Publisher is probably the most understated software out there, it's really valuable. Like, I go to it constantly to create something and then put it on a different program or whatever. So it's free. Like so many of those, I try to keep my overhead low. So so when it came to building WordPress, and building a website, I was literally thrown into that. Like, here's a website and this is what we need you to do. And I'm like, this is going to take me a little bit. And so thank God for YouTube. There were tons of videos. I learned how to find out HTML codes, quickly. And I learned how to plug it in real fast. So it's been a ongoing self-training process, and I'm still training. Right now I'm throwing myself into learning LinkedIn, because it's changing and it's becoming more and more the business to business connection. And so for my client right now and her group, that her marketing group, I gotta be on there and I gotta know what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's right. LinkedIn is really becoming sort of very personal, looking for specific contacts in a way, and to talk more about business, whereas maybe Facebook and Instagram is more for searching and getting a bit more fun information. But there is like definitely, the area for both of them, and you kind of need to know both of them, or all of them, in fact, and being able to do that. And so, yeah, when you talk about training yourself, it's good to know that, even if you haven't got that skill, you can go out and do it, pick it up. I was lucky enough to do a very short and basic course in WordPress at the start of mine. But even that small, starting point gives you so much confidence. And then, as you say, YouTube, and other proprietary video softwares right there. They all have those videos that could teach you anything. It's like the go-to. So being a VA, you can broaden your horizons. You don't have to stick with what you know. You can go and teach yourself something and try something new and really become an expert in it, and then completely change path. As we were talking before, and your history is quite varied, and you've been a vocalist as well and a music director.
Well, those have been my hobbies. I didn't get paid for any of that. Those are just for fun.
It's still doing a job for somebody. It's
right.
Because my background's geography, and now I'm in social media and videos. It's a complete change.
Yeah.
I'm loving that. And as you say, your history does come back to help you in different jobs. I have random stories about writing about graveyards and cemeteries, and knowing the sort of Richard III history, being buried in a car park in the UK, randomly came into a blog I wrote. So your history is valuable. Don't discount your working background, is basically what I'm trying to say in a very bad way.
No, it's excellent. And I still want to hear the story about the floating coffin. That was
that's another one. It's quite a few. So how do you manage your sort of VA lifestyle from day to day? Do you structure to it, or does it change from day to day, or what way do you manage it?
Yeah. Well, for me, that has developed over time too. Um, most of my clientele has been out in the West Coast. So they're 3 hours behind us, which is really great for me because I'm not the best morning person at all.
He is. He is.
But the only thing I can do at 6 o'clock in the morning is like get into a vehicle and have somebody else drive, and I can fall asleep for the next 2 hours. But so I'm not a morning person, and that's worked out great. But I do structure that I get up and I'm on the computer, by 10 a.m. To get a boost on, before my clients are up and get some work done, or, shoot out some emails. I'm also one of those people, though, that if I'm thinking about it, I'll shoot it out at night. And I guess some clients don't like that. But my thinking was, it's going to be in your email the next morning. But I have to remember we all have these, and they go off in the middle of the night. And then my client's like, why'd you wake me up at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
I'm like,
They're
oh, yeah, they're
ever present.
yes, our lifeline.
Mine stays downstairs at night.
Yeah. And so I've had to learn, like, to keep weekends to myself, and to have that time away. I still work on vacations because I'm not at the point, that I can just say, hey, I'm taking a week off. I just haven't done that yet. I take everything. I'll lighten my load, during vacation, but that laptop's with me every single time,
Okay.
to take care of stuff. And the other thing is, and I learned that because when I was in the mortgage business, I went on vacation to Italy for 10 days. And it was a wonderful vacation. And when I came home, there were no loans in my pipeline. All my loans had dried up while I was gone. They had run into problems. And when I came back, I had nothing. Nothing had been done to fix the loans or, anything. And I was like, if your pipeline wasn't going constantly, you can't, and so I learned that very early on, like, no, I'm never going to let that happen again.
Yeah.
So I'm very structured. I'm very organized. And that's just how I have to live my life. But I've also learned those skills in battling depression and anxiety, that the more structured and the more organized that you are, and you control the things that you can control, and then it really helps you. It benefits everything.
It benefits you, it benefits the work. So I guess it's what works for you and what's suitable for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Italy's lovely. Worked there myself for 2 months, but it was all driving and mapping, so it's completely different. So, working from home, do you feel isolated at all, or have you tried working from a shared working space, or what way have you worked?
Because of my divorce and custody battle left me in financially ruined, I have tried to take on second jobs, to boost my income and go outside and work for other people. And it just reminds me that I want to be at home. When you're told you can't get up and use the ladies' room or get a drink of water except on this 15-minute break at 10:15 because you have to be on the phone, taking phone calls and making all, I was just like,
No.
I can't believe I'm back in this world, and that rigidness that they have, and the communication and everything. I'm like, you know what? It just reminded me I don't want to be out there. So I get very lonely. Sometimes I'm jumping on Facebook to have my water cooler conversations, but or I go out at night with my fiance's friends, and when I go out, they're sitting there going, they're like, "Oh, you're talkative," and I'm like, "Well, I've been glued to a monitor all day, not talking to anybody." So,
I kind of know what that's like, but I'm kind of lucky that a lot of work I do and some of the voluntary work I do with Lean In, which is a women's support, global women's support network, that we have a lot of sort of networking meetings that I would go to, and some of my work is filming them, so I get out to meet, because I think if I was stuck in the house all day, I'd serious cabin fever. But I know I would, because I broke my foot just before I came back from my previous job, or back into my previous job from my maternity. I had to work from home with my foot up in the like a cast. Oh my goodness, it was driving me nuts. So I think it's really important for the VA industry to connect with each other. Hence why I've had a mad sort of drive on LinkedIn, connecting with people and saying hi and let's connect anyway. You know, as you said earlier, it's collaboration, not competition, because there's so much work out there, and there's work for everyone. But being able to keep in contact with other VAs, I think, is really, really important. So last sort of couple of questions. What sort of challenges have you faced sort of setting yourself up as a VA? I suppose you have talked about, you know, quite a bit of them, but is there any specific major challenge that you've had to overcome that you weren't sure that you were going to be able to be a VA, or just in general?
Well, yeah, I mean, for a while, because I struggled so much with anxiety and depression, there were definite times where, you know, it was hard to, you know, am I ever going to be back to myself, you know? And I was always a go-getter, you know, on fire, bubbly, type A personality, and I went through some dark years, you know, and I felt like that was going to end me professionally. But you just keep getting up, and you just keep sitting down at your computer. And you know, the nice thing about this, and working from home, and you know, going through whatever it is, you know, whether it's you know, an illness or family struggles, or you know, that a lot of women are facing these days, is that you do get the luxury of not having to be perfect. You can get up, and if you don't want to get dressed that day, and you can pull, I like to get dressed, because I just feel more professional, and I feel like it comes out in my work. But I know a lot of people that don't, you know, that are more comfortable in their t-shirt and jeans, and, you know, or, yeah.
No, I'm not in my PJs, I swear.
Yeah, we were PJs. I remember being in one group, and everybody was showing their silly socks they were wearing that winter day, you know, and, you know, everybody was freezing and frigid. And so, it, you know, it's, there's that flexibility that you get to be you, and not have a company or a corporation or, you know, a business tell you who you need to be. And I think, you know, places like Google, you know, working for places like Google, there's a lot of flexibility there. They have napping pods. They realize that there are people that are developing software and are very creative and everything else. They realize that those people need to step away and play ping pong and clear their head. Or so they have these like game rooms, and they have sleeping pods, or they have, you know, a coffee center or whatever, you know, and they realize the importance of, you need to step away, get your head together, come back and look at it again, and have, or have a second pair of eyes look at it. And so, but a lot of corporations haven't tapped into that. But working from home, you can do that for yourself.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point to make. It's like working from home, and in companies like Google, as you say, you're able to bring your whole self to your job, because you're not worried about, okay, do I look okay? Okay, I was in 5 minutes late because I had to go to the dentist, or
Exactly.
I'm really tired because I had a late night last night with my child, or I had whatever happened. Those worries are taken away, and you can have that break, because having that break makes you so much more productive. And I guess working from home makes it easier. And I know for myself, it means like at lunchtime, I can quickly go down and put the washing on that I need done for the next day for my family.
Yeah.
Or I can quickly put dinner on so I can work a little bit later. I can be a lot more flexible. So as you say, you're able to bring your whole self, you can bring your better self, you can bring your best skills out. So I think in that way, it's, you know, having maybe started off in a really hard place, a difficult place, you've definitely yourself come through it, and you're been working obviously for 7 years, so you're obviously really good at what you do, and you're kind of love what you do, because 7 years is a lot longer than some people manage in a job. So having got through all that and working really, really well and being so successful, what goals do you have for yourself left? I would say no, but what goals do you still have set for yourself? You know, what do you want to achieve or do? Or
well, actually, because of the PTSD, I'm still getting stronger. You know, I had a mental breakdown in 2014, and even though it's been 4 years, I'm still not where I want to be, you know, and so I'm still trying to get to a place where I'm not having the hiccups, you know, or, you know, that I'm editing better, you know, my work better before I send it out. And getting into processes and strategies to make things flow easier for my client and her marketing group and myself, you know. And so that kind of organization, like using products like Asana and, you know, those kind of things, setting alarms on my calendar to remind me to do things. I have Post-it notes hanging up all over my desk.
Yep, I'm looking at quite a few of them.
I know, me and my Post-it notes. Like, so yeah, so I still have goals to function better and at a higher pace, and of course financially. I mean, I'm so grateful for Daryl and coming into my life and easing a lot of my financial stress. But a lot of women don't have that, and you know, I didn't have that for quite a while, and so it's a blessing to be at this place now. But I would like to, you know, financially get myself into a more reliable position, and so that's my goal for 2000, you know, the end of 2018 going into 2019. But I finally have clicked with a great client, and you know, it's taken all these years to find that one special client, you know, that you really, it just fits and it just blends. And I'm so grateful for that, because I've had some interesting bumps along the way. But you know, everybody has their own personality, and you know, I respect them all, but that doesn't mean we all work together the best. You know, and they definitely needed something else from a VA that I couldn't give them. But
yeah, that's kind of good being in the community, that if you can't provide what a client maybe needs, then you will maybe know somebody that can. So again, yet another reason being part of this great sort of business industry.
Yeah. It's good to know your limitations. I mean, our society is so focused on, you know, your strengths, but it's good to know your weaknesses too, and you know, be able to say, you know what, I think this project might be better handled by somebody else, and you know, and to be able to pick and choose who you work with, because there's also no reason that a VA running their own business should ever take an abusive client, you know, who's verbally, you know, difficult, or yelling at them, or, you know, you don't need to take that. You get to choose your clients, and you can just, you know, politely and professionally explain to them, this style doesn't work for me, and I'm sorry, but you know, I think it's best that you find somebody else to work with. That, you know, and those decisions are hard, but for your overall well-being of your business, sometimes it's the best way.
Yeah, I think, and again, that's something you can refer to the community out there. They can help you. I have this client, they've maybe done this. How would you best approach this? And then they can put you in touch with whether it's legal services or even just giving you advice or the correct format for a letter or that kind of thing. So again, it's so useful being part of that community. And so this is one question I've only really thought of myself, and I wasn't sure, because having a look through LinkedIn and looking at people's titles, and again, this is a way to market yourself and how you promote yourself.
Right.
Do you use the title of VA or PA or executive assistant, consultant, freelancer? I've seen such a variety, and I'm just wondering, does it make a difference, or are some better than others, or is there? I don't even know if there's a right or wrong answer.
I think it's a really great question, because every time I say I'm a virtual assistant, or every time Daryl says, "Oh, this is my girl and she's a virtual assistant," everybody goes, like, what's that? Like we're still so new in the industry. I mean, this has only been like the last 10 years, and so it's still such a new thing. But I think executive assistant would be a much better title, because people understand that. When you work for a CEO of a company, or a business owner, you've got to know how to save their receipts from their travel, book their travel, type up a memorandum, and do all these things for them. And you really have to be like a jack of all trades when you're an executive assistant. And that's what we do. I mean, we're sitting here doing the same thing for a lot of people. But VA and virtual assistant is this title that's most popular. But when I have to explain it, then I say executive assistant.
Oh, I'm gonna have to change the name of this podcast now. No.
No, I think we just got to we just got to educate everybody around this.
Education's the key to everything, I think. Keep your brain ticking over. And I'm trying to think. You were talking about the flexibility of being a VA, and then the struggles that you've personally had. But I just wanted to touch on, from me, just listening to that what you said is so personal and incredibly brave to share. And I think if anyone, or even if a business was listening to that, I think they need to realize that having gone through that actually makes you stronger, better at your job, because you're so much more careful, you're more empathetic, and from the way you've talked, you're more precise and wanting to make sure that you're the best that you can be for your client. I don't think people realize that how much of an issue in today's world that sort of anxiety and postnatal depression, which I've suffered from myself, undiagnosed, and depression in general itself, it's such a big thing that's happening. And I have seen articles in the media recently that should we be taking days off for mental health wellness, as well as your man flu? Sorry, that's really sexist. But for illnesses like that, do we need those types of day? It's such a taboo subject that nobody talks about it. But I think when you've actually gone through it, and it needs talked about more, it actually makes you, I think, stronger in a way, because you're resilient to have got through that, and you've worked out a mechanism that works for you, that you can still do your job and to a better standard, I think. And from talking to you, that's what it sounds like from you. So I think well done, and kudos to you for being able to do that and even telling some people. So I think it's a really valuable story.
Thank you.
And so I think that's really kind of all I wanted to ask. But is there anything I was going to say, is there anything you want to ask me? But is there anything else you want to say any, newbie or any experienced VA, any tips or tricks? Like, is there any tool you have to have, or you talked about Asana earlier? What's your favorite tool? Anything extra, piece of wisdom that you want to share with everyone?
I can't live without 2 monitors anymore.
Oh, I miss that. That's so true. I have a second monitor there.
I take the laptop with me traveling. If I don't have that other monitor, I'm so lost. I can't believe I can't function without 2 monitors. Yeah, you know what? Make your office space yours. You know, put up a mood board or a dream board, or, put up pictures, colors. Like yours is very lively and colorful and bright. Mine, I've got pictures of my kids. I've got this board here of like all these crazy things they make me, and just make it your haven, like, because a lot of corporations, you can't do that. You can't make your space yours. So make your space yours. Turn up your favorite music, make it fun as best as you can, and enjoy your job. Just love on your client, and I think you'll be amazed at what comes back to you in the long term. And if you need a push that day, or if you need to walk away, do it, because like you said about these mental health days, or, taking a step away. I went through 5 months of outpatient therapy to learn new behavioral skills to manage, things better in life that I wasn't doing so well, and I bring that to my work, and I bring that to my job, and to my office, and to my clients, and it's made my business better. But in doing so, I've learned to have fun, and so I have Spotify, and I crank up whatever genre of music I want to listen to that day, and it's blaring. If you knocked on the door, I would never hear you, because it is. But that's me, I'm from the '80s. I love rock and roll, and
get you there,
and I get lost in it, and I'm working away, And I can't do that in a corporation, like I can't turn up my music full blast.
I used to get told off. I had my headphones on, and it depended what day it was or what mood I was in. It could be anything from hardcore rock, trance music, or even to classical. It just depended on the task.
Exactly, yeah.
Or if it was, especially no word music. So classical music was when it was an intensive job, or another day it would have been full on dancing. I would have been, but I got the work done.
And sometimes one thing I wish I had was one of those desks that will stand up with you. It raises and lowers. I had that at a place one time, and I loved it. And that's the only thing I would change about my office, is if I could stand up and, get into a song. And
I can't do that. My knees are dodgy. I couldn't do that, but it's probably something I should do. Get a treadmill and start walking. But I think make your space your own. My room's covered in maps everywhere, because as I said, I'm a geography. There's a map there of Europe. There's a map there of the Virgin Islands where I was on honeymoon, and there's a globe pencil sharpener over there. So, and then candles depending on my mood. But I think that is a very valuable piece of advice. It's your space. Make it your own, and it's a joy to come to work. Then
it is. This is the first place I sit almost every single day. I come down the stairs, and I'm here, and I'm at work.
Working and functioning and doing the best I can. That's
a privilege. It's a privilege to be a virtual assistant. It really is.
I think you're right. I think it helps to make you a better person, to sort of just supporting each other. I think, as we were talking about earlier, it's just supportive of each other, and I think that's a lovely thing as well. It's quite an unusual thing. So big up,
thank you. I can't thank you enough for this opportunity. It's been worth the 7 years just for this.
Okay, that's good.
So thank you.
That's quite an accolade. I'll have to make sure I edit this well. So I think we've covered quite a lot, and we probably could talk for hours, but the viewers probably have other things. They need to get back to work. Is what they need. Let them do that. And so I will sign off for now, and I will talk to you soon, I'm sure. But thank you so much for being so honest, and great fun to talk to. And so we'll sign off on the VA today.
Okay. Thanks so much, Gail. I appreciate you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.